Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation today for our Wayne County Continuum of Care Partnership presentation. Today, we are here with Dustin Kane, who is the COC analyst here with Wayne. We're going to be talking about what libraries can do in partnership to help our unhoused communities in the communities that we serve. So with that, I'll let Dustin take it away.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in today and joining this conversation. With this group, do you want to do a quick round of introductions as well to kind of talk about maybe your interest and also just briefly introduce the library or organization you're representing? Okay. Maybe I'll pass it off to Cricket first.
Hi, my name is Cricket and I'm the head of adult services at the Ferndale Area District Library. We are right on the border of Detroit and we have a bus stop very close to the library. So we see a lot of patrons who are experiencing homelessness here. So I'm interested in learning the best ways we can provide them with resources.
Thank you so much, Cricket. Garrett, would you like to go next?
Sure. Garrett Hungerford, director of the Redford Township District Library. Similarly to Cricket, we border Detroit. So we certainly have some homeless individuals that utilize our library and just looking at ways that we can improve upon that.
Thank you so much, Garrett. Lauren? Okay, great. And I see Amy too is joining from the desktop. And Paulina, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paulina from Salem South Lyon District Library. This isn't actually my county, but it looked informational, so that's why I'm here. Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. That's really helpful to know too. With homeless and housing services, we work really closely with the different counties, providing that lead guidance and oversight to different programming. So I'd be happy to connect with anyone too who's outside of our jurisdiction too in the future, if y'all had any other questions on that too. But jumping in today, I was planning on doing an overview of our organization and some of the work that we've been doing recently and some ways that partners like yourselves might be able to get involved, or ways we could maybe partner with you too. And yeah, if anyone has any questions throughout or wants to come off mute and ask or provide any feedback, please feel free to jump in. But thank you all again, and we'll go ahead and get started. So to provide a background on our agency, our team, we do represent Wayne Metro, but as a lead organization, we've been selected by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to organize 6 agencies and over 20 projects in Wayne County outside of Detroit, Hamtramck, and Highland Park to assist with short-term and long-term assistance for the most vulnerable households in our area. And that includes the 40 municipalities surrounding. So being able to partner with those local governments and also see where different goals align is a key of the work, and also a key of that agency, or our agency as well as a continuum of care lead, is bringing together those different partners and providing more of a shared collaborative mindset instead of a competition-based mindset. Which is something that we've been focusing on heavily recently. So last year, we were awarded $8 million as a community for those long-term and short-term supportive service projects and housing units. And for the last couple of years, this has been a $1.3 million increase since 21, and then a $2.5 million increase since 2020. And something that we're really excited about this year, we were awarded 4 new bonus projects, and one specifically pertaining to youth, aiming to serve 18 to 24-year-olds and have over 15 beds for that specific target population. So getting more youth involved at the table and persons with lived experience has been another key that we've seen in our community, and other likewise organizations have been implementing, and it has been really valuable to us. So as we continue to move forward, trying to get more youth input, and also learn more directly from those that we serve, because they are often the closest to different solutions or ideas on how we could provide better services. So really excited about that, and just wanted to frame kind of what it looks like in our area. So this is our service area. Our team is based out of Wyandotte, but our street outreach team, we work very closely with a schedule weekly to cover this entire area. So I believe it's a little bit over 500 square miles. So we have 2 teams of 2 that set up and partner with different organizations, and also currently a few different libraries to either do office hours, or also just engage anyone who might be experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity, to build trust, and also see if anyone needs any services or resources. Hygiene kits and backpacks are often some available resources we're able to provide readily. And then if anyone didn't want services or don't need resources at that time, being able to leave the door open and provide contact information, and just let people know that we're there, and trying to build that trust up in the future too, so that we can provide that help and assistance. So one common myth that we've seen through our different research, and also serving as a lead agency, is often different communities might have observed a practice that housing should come with preconditions, and have a type of mindset that maybe someone needs to go through certain steps to become housed. And what we've learned through over 10 years of these programs specifically being in place is that having housing first has been more successful overall at addressing someone's housing insecurity, because being able to provide that supportive services after and in coordination once someone has that safe place to stay has been really beneficial. So this is kind of that diagram of what we're looking at. And right now, those 6 agencies and 23 projects in our area all observe this principle. And through that U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development funding, we've seen that getting people into housing first, avoiding different barriers like sobriety, employment, and program participation has just really helped overall decrease our homeless numbers, or households experiencing housing insecurity. And we can see this here too on a nationwide level, that within the last 10 years, we see that over 50,000 people experience homelessness, or less. Fewer people experience homelessness on any given night in 2020 than they did in 2010. So that's a huge thanks to this kind of work and that kind of mindset, as well as in coordination with those housing choice vouchers. So working with public housing authorities to provide subsidized housing, or allowing people to pay a third of their rent, so that they're able to also flexibly pay for other items that they need, like food or transportation, especially if there's multiple people in that household that they're trying to assist, like families and children. Having these types of resources has been really beneficial to this work. And what we see here in our area is that overall homelessness has drastically also declined thanks to observing these practices. So we see that numbers in 2013 kind of ranged around 380 to 400. And recently that number has been reduced to around 200. But we have seen within the last few years that this number has continued to rise. So taking a look at our team at the impact of COVID relief funds or additional funds, and then those being repealed. So seeing how we could better improve our programs and adapt to changing funding sources, so that we have reliable programs and are able to provide more stability in these projects that we know work and are successful. And then this is overall in Detroit. So we see the number was closer to 3,500 and now closer to 1,500 on any given night. So it's really great to see these numbers here at a local level too, are also representative of those national numbers. So just really grateful for all the work that our different agencies and other partners are able to provide day in, providing those direct services, because often it can feel like a lot and overwhelming. So having this kind of support, being able to show people at a high level, stepping back that these practices and researching and talking to our community about what has been working has had an impact. And it's really great to see that. So as we continue moving forward strategically, just making sure that we're promoting what the data is representing and making sure that our data is quality, so that people are entering information correctly, and that we're also following people along to make sure that they're housed, and if they do need that support too on the back end, that we're able to provide that as well. And where we get these numbers each year, our teams go out into the community, so partnering with our direct service agencies and also volunteers. This year, we went from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. and spread out between the different jurisdictions and organized our teams based on known locations on where to start or possibly engage with people. And what we've found is that on really cold nights, if you don't have a place to stay, trying to engage people and get an accurate number of persons who really don't have nowhere else to go. Cold months have been beneficial for us and our data points to identify those who really don't have anywhere else to go. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to move towards that direction. But we had 16 survey teams for this jurisdiction, so all of Wayne County outside of Detroit, Hamtramck, and Highland Park, 44 volunteers and 4 persons with lived experience who also partnered with this effort, and had 2 bases in Wyandotte and Westland. And we encountered 14 people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So being able to provide resources and offer, if we're able to get them transportation or transport them to a warming center, being able to do that too, was something really valuable that we would like to continue to do in the future, and also just promote this work. And was something that we've discussed also with libraries moving forward, making sure that warming centers are available, especially during the cold winter months, and also cooling centers in the summer. Trying to build up that resource with the county is another initiative that our team is looking forward to continue. So this is kind of what it looks like. These individual squares were where teams had their known locations and went out to. And with this survey process, asking people a voluntary question to collecting some information and also providing those resources were the main goals of these events. So if we're able to provide like a backpack with hygiene items or other warming items, and then get them to a safe place to stay if possible, that was the goal here. But these locations were collected by our street outreach teams and other partners within our continuum of care. And this was the last, the 3 months going into January, 3 months before, we were able to collect this information and identify where we could best target our efforts to engage the most people that we could. And something that we did a little bit different this year was also conduct this count over the course of the week. So we identified 23 total persons experiencing unsheltered homelessness at the end of the week. And then working with shelters like ChristNet, the River Rouge Emergency Shelter, and then also our family shelter with Samaritas. We identified a total of 199 persons experiencing homelessness this year. During that week, conducting that count and gathering demographic information from those voluntary surveys. So being able to communicate that to that at any given night in our area, these are the kind of, this is what we're seeing, and trying to move forward and advocate for additional resources or partners and support to get this number lower and as low as we can. So Yeah, again, we've just seen that overall these numbers have increased over the last couple of years. So also being able to point that out and do this regularly in a way that's measurable and that we could expand upon has also been really helpful for our community to see trends and changes over time. And then here are some pictures from some of our volunteers and partners. So really great event. We had some pizza, so that was cool. And the last few items I wanted to talk about before we jump in, and I'll just open the floor or also offer any opportunities for people to get involved. Some other projects that we've been working on to engage and do outreach. Since January this year, we've worked with 13 partners to distribute over 225 personal care bags with backpacks, hygiene kits. And another project that we've been working on as well is providing home warming baskets for those who've newly entered housing or have been rehoused. So giving them items like toiletries, cleaning supplies, just the basics to get them started has been really beneficial for our teams. And also too, in some cases, being able to provide grocery cards for their first month of groceries has meant a lot to the team. And I know something that we've continued to work upon. And the last project I'll kind of mention on this too is just building more partnerships with like to make sure that we have furniture too has been something that's been really important, or helping people move from a storage unit into their new place, because often sometimes people are continuing to make those payments. So if we're able to make sure that they have that transportation or moving capability, it will also cut down on their monthly rent or expenses. So being able to do these small little projects across our agencies has been helpful, and we hope to continue to grow this in the future. And then here's some pictures from another agency I worked with in Memphis doing some similar projects as well. So it's been really great to be a part of, and also to see too the feedback from our community. And then this last major project that we try to do once a year in November, we had 20 partners get together in a church space and engaged over 50 households made up of single adults, families, children, youth, to build connections with healthcare, employment services, education, and more, so that we're partnering with all the different systems that interact with within housing and homelessness, so that we could try to find solutions together as a community, and also try to break down different silos and just try to make resources more open and available as a whole. And again, going back to that first point that we made too, as far as those new projects and engaging persons with lived experience, it's been really valuable to our team to partner and uplift and elevate voices of persons with lived experience and bring people to the table that haven't been there. So it's been really a great opportunity for us. Last year, we were awarded a $50,000 grant to pay a group of 20. We had 15 active participants and consultants working with us who had lived experience of homelessness. And it was really great. We were able to pay people up to $100 an hour. And also, if they wanted to engage with leadership decisions and be a part of the board, and also funding priorities, being able to engage different groups and bring them to the table has been really valuable to us. So we hope to continue to expand upon this in the future, and also marry this too with our continued outreach as well. And then stepping back from the system at a high level, last year we were able to serve within those 6 agencies and 20 projects, 529 households, or over 1,000 people. And some of these numbers at the bottom, the exits and returns, they are pretty positive, but the major barrier that we've seen is really talking about project performance and making sure that people are enrolled quickly into housing, and also identifying ways to improve this bottleneck that we've identified. So even though someone is identified to be a good fit for a short-term or long-term housing project, in this case, last year, they were waiting over basically a year to receive that housing or wait for an opening. So being able to improve that communication across different agencies and point at our data to identify where different systems could be improved, and also working with our community and our consultants has been really valuable to us in establishing different standard operating procedures, just working more collaboratively overall. That's definitely a goal we want to focus on here as we continue to move forward and identify these gaps. And like I said, equity is really important to us. So making sure that we're also representing racial equity in our work and also in our strategic planning, because like in other communities and across the nation, Black or African-American households are overrepresented in our homeless and housing system. So being able to call attention to that and see different ways that we can elevate different voices, and also partner with landlords and good groups so that we could improve this process, and also just as a whole, make sure that our system is representative and serving everyone equally and equitably. So the last section here, how can libraries get involved? Some ways that we've worked with libraries in the past is just sharing different information, print, physical copies or online, partnering with our street outreach team to offer office hours or opportunities to table and provide resources. And another thing that was mentioned too is having library resource computers with links to these supportive services or housing resources. And then partnering with the continuum of care, operating as like a warming center, emergency center, and seeing different ways that we might be able to assist with different events that are coming up, or if we're able to provide any resources there. But yeah, does anyone have any questions or anything else that they wanted to add or discuss?
So go ahead and just unmute if you have questions, or if you do not have the ability to do that or just don't want to, feel free and just drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to read it.
I'll break the silence. This is Garrett over at Redford. Dustin, one of the things, one of your first slides talked about, voluntary, the homeless individual needs to be willing to need, or, ask for help. And I think as librarians, it's like, we provide this resource and, this everything magical happens. But we've certainly run into cases where that individual is not, looking for help, or doesn't want help, or is too proud for help. Are there any, any suggestions, best practices, services that you even offer to help really explain to that individual what this could mean for them?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's a really important piece of our work, especially for persons experiencing homelessness. Like just in general, the experience is very traumatic. So for those who are exposed for longer periods of time, it could just build on that trauma. And something that our street outreach team has really stressed, and also the idea of that housing first mindset, is just meeting people where they're at and building that trust. Because a lot of times different systems have failed people, or just different resources haven't panned out or taken too long, especially like we've seen with our data. It takes over a year for people who we have identified as most vulnerable last year to get those services. So being able to build that trust and have safe spaces for people to feel comfortable to open up has been really valuable for our teams, especially as we've been able to open more partnerships in Taylor and River Rouge. with our street outreach teams, and just having spaces for people to come to feel safe, or even having that relationship with like our street outreach team who's trained in just, again, trauma-informed practices and meeting people where they're at, and not trying to force anything on them. And we see too with different stories, just having that continued trust and stability, like that they could see someone showing up, checking in on them weekly, bi-weekly, calling them, texting them, has really made an impact overall, because sometimes people don't have anyone else to turn to. So having like that stability of our street outreach team, or just different agencies and partners having those safe spaces, and then ability to continually check in and see how people are doing, that having a conversation and listening really means a lot to just anyone in general. So that dignity and respect, and like building that shared relationship has been really valuable to us. So those are some recommendations too. But also, yeah, if you'd like to connect with our street outreach team to see about if they could engage different households that you've identified, we would love to connect more too on that and see how we can build that relationship too.
Perfect, thanks.
Thanks.
Another thing that got dropped in the chat was Steve mentioned that TLN will work with you also to provide access for information. So like the booklets and pamphlets to libraries as well. So keep an eye out for that. All of our libraries. I will ask a question too, just from me. From those backpacks and whatnot that have a lot of care kits and things like that, what are some things that libraries could have on hand, you know, from some of those things? You know, if someone is experiencing, you know, housing insecurity or homelessness, you know, what's something that maybe if someone asked for, a library would be able to give?
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up too. We would love to expand our partnerships, and especially if libraries needed different materials too, to partner with y'all to get different toiletry items, waters, gum, and lip balm too was something that different people have identified as just good materials to have. But those small items, hygiene items that people could use, or a decent backpack as well, has been really nice for people in different emergency situations to engage with. And yeah, like having different waters, snacks, and like a contact for our outreach, or for our agencies too, to start to build that relationship, I would say would be good items to maybe include and have on hand. And if y'all are in need of them, let us know, and we'd love to try to get some other resources out to different partners across the county.
Great. I saw Lauren drop in the chat. Do you also have any information available for those in the community who are interested in volunteering?
Yeah, thank you. So we will have some additional information coming up in January for our annual point in time count. I know with these opportunities recently, we lack the capacity as a staff, but as we continue to grow, having a staff dedicated to building these volunteer opportunities and organizing different partnerships with schools and other partners. In the past, we've just had different assembly lines, or certain days where we'll reach out to interested parties to come in and volunteer. But one way we could get you on that list and you could stay up to date is being a part of our listserv. So if you're interested, I could definitely get you that information and add you to that too, so you could stay up to date on any of those upcoming opportunities as well.
Perfect. Other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So I know for the city of Detroit, they have something called the CAM, Coordinated Access Model. Is that also for Highland Park? Because Highland Park is also very close to Ferndale. I was just curious if that was one of those partner organizations you work with.
Yes, and could you remind me, is Ferndale in Oakland County or?
Yeah, we are
Okay,
just above the line.
okay. Yeah, so Ferndale is a part of the Oakland County Lead Agency or Continuum of Care. And I could get you that information for that contact too. Once we get off, I'll take a real quick too. But yeah, we've actually gone to quite a few meetings with Oakland, Washtenaw, and the city of Detroit recently with their teams to see how we could better collaborate because especially different populations that we serve, a lot of households are transient and move through our areas pretty frequently. So if we're able to better collaborate and identify better households, how we can better serve those households would be beneficial. So I would love to give you that contact information if you're interested. And they've been doing a lot of great work too in Oakland County.
Perfect. Steve also had a question. Are there times of the year that there are more people in need than other times? Is there like an annual cycle? Maybe let's talk about that.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. That's a great question. So for us, what we've seen and where we try to target a lot of attention as well, during the winter months, especially when it's very cold outside, and understanding too in Wayne County that it's different than similar counties like in Chicago. If temperatures drop below 32 degrees, automatically warming centers open up. And right now that's not the case. So trying to improve that relationship and also just raise awareness locally that it's really important for people, especially that if we've encountered and identified that on any given night, up to 200 people could need that safe space. Being able to identify those different partners who would be able to set up in those times in emergency would be really helpful to us. But also in the summer, what we're trying to do too, as we continue to grow as a community, is conduct another count during the summer, because we see too with warmer temperatures that we do tend to identify more households in need of housing or other services. So I'd say the winter and also the summer, being able to identify different resources within those seasons has been something that we've seen a need for. And yeah, especially during those times, if we could have other partnerships or just again, raise attention to that point, that would be beneficial.
Perfect. And then I see Cricket dropped her email in the chat. Also, if there's anything to Dustin that you want to be sent out to the group, I'm more than happy to collect it and then send it out to everyone. Also, if anyone is watching this on recording and wants those as well, feel free and just let me know. Another question, can you provide info for libraries on what it takes to become a warming or cooling center?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So right now, the process from our understanding is pretty decentralized outside of the county. I think they have also been trying to adapt and develop a better structure for warming and cooling centers. But being the lead agency and assisting these other partners and having experience in the field, I would say if any libraries are interested in becoming a warming center or a cooling center, you could reach out to our team directly, and we would love to connect, especially with the street outreach team, because when it's extremely cold or extremely hot, Our agencies have been reaching out to listed warming centers and cooling centers, but unfortunately, sometimes that information might be incorrect. So if you wanted to reach out to our team directly, we would love to just pass that out to the community more effectively, and also build that relationship too with the county to give them any updates. But I think right now where we're at, because the resources were limited at a county level, if we could start at a local level, just with that communication, that would be really great. And our teams would really appreciate that if anyone was interested.
Any other questions? Another one I'll throw out there too. So we've talked a lot about homelessness from the standpoint of adults. Let's talk a little bit on how that looks differently for maybe teens or children.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, DJ, because that's something we've also been working with the city of Detroit. So to give a little bit of background too, and to build off of Cricket's question as well, the Detroit Continuum of Care is working to improve their CAM, or coordinated entry system. And one way they've been doing this is integrating more within their main lead agency. And they'll also be partnering with Wayne Metro to provide more access centers and call center services. So being able to bridge that gap, especially within Wayne County, is really important. But the Detroit COC successfully over the last 2 years has received over an additional pot of funding to bring on 4 different projects pertaining to youth, and also elevate youth voices by establishing a youth action board. And what the board was made up of was 16 to 24-year-olds that also provided just a background in leading this work and applying for that funding, and developing the Ruth Ellis Center in Detroit, which is a 40-unit complex that also has a safe space for any youth in the area that want to engage with services, or just want a place to hang out or stay after school. So that's been a really cool development to see how different leaders within our different populations that we're serving take on more responsibility, and then also be heard and listened to, and become an active part of that leadership process. So here in our jurisdiction, in our area in Wayne County, developing that youth action board. Right now, we have a few applications and are looking to move forward with 3 individuals to establish that board, and to build that feedback loop. But we also want to make sure that we have those stipend payment amounts or other benefits for these groups, to make sure that we're paying them for their work and properly, because it has such a great impact on our community. And being able to hear directly from different groups has been super valuable. So yeah, those are a few developments along the youth front that we've been working on recently.
Perfect. Not seeing any more questions in the chat. Oh, Steve also dropped some more information too. So library partners can give info, print and online, make sure that they have office hours, provide information as warming and cooling centers, have some events or giveaways that would be helpful, provide points of contact, online pages with links, along with resource computers, tabling at the library, along with a direct to 211 call center. I see Dustin dropped your contact in the chat as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to him as well, feel free.
And DJ, I'll make sure that you get the invitation for the listserv, printable brochure, and also just my contact information again, if anyone's interested in partnering or becoming a warming or cooling center as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Any last questions before we wrap this up? Nope, everyone's giving me smiles. Okay. Thank you again, Dustin, for your time. I really appreciate this. It's really important work, and I'm excited to see what this continues to look like.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.